Hey folks, in the last video we spent some time talking about how we are going to be discussing formulas for putting together effective sentences. The best place to start with this is to look at a couple of fundamental structures in writing. So in writing, we have two basic types of constructions that we can use. We can use something called a phrase, and we can use something called a clause. Those two things determine whether you are building sentences or whether you're accidentally leaving information out that your audience needs to know in order to understand what you are saying. So let's take a closer look at these in order to understand how they work and why they matter and what they're going to do for our writing. All right, so as I noted, we have phrases, we have clauses. What does that mean and why does it matter? I am sure you have heard of a phrase. We toss that word around all the time. We'll use it according to a couple of different definitions. For our purposes, the word phrase, we will define it as a collection of words that does not contain a subject acting on a verb. Now you're like, we just got started and now you're using all this fancy grammatical language. Bear with me. We're going to walk through this. Okay, one thing I want to note is that I will expect you to have ownership of this information. I will be asking you guys about these terms in class and when we look at examples of writing, those kinds of things. So be sure to write this stuff down by hand in a notebook. I know the by hand in a notebook sounds ridiculous, but we'll talk about why that's really important. So please be sure that you have this information that we talk about in your notes. Be sure to write it out completely. Okay, a phrase is a collection of words that does not contain a subject acting on a verb. A clause is a collection of words that does contain a subject acting on a verb. So here are our fancy words and our fancy grammatical explanations. So now let's talk about what that means. So way back, somebody told you that in order to write a sentence, you needed to have a noun and a verb, right? At the very least, in order to write a sentence, we need a noun and a verb. What is a noun? Hopefully, when I tossed that out there, you rolled your eyes and said a noun names a person, place, or thing. To this, I'm actually going to add, we're going to have a person, a place, a thing, a concept, or an idea. This is important because when people think of thing, they tend to think of an object. So for instance, I've got this water bottle sitting on my desk. This is a thing, okay? But a concepts and ideas are also things. For instance, I could say writing is difficult for many people. The concept of writing or the idea of writing, the action of writing can be difficult for many people. Okay, so writing in that particular sentence would serve as a noun. Okay, so what is a verb? Hopefully you said that a verb is an action. A verb can also be a state of being. For instance, if I were to say to you, I am cold, or I am hot, or are you going to the concert later? I am. The word am in all of those is a form of a to be verb. Okay. To be means like to exist or to be in a particular state. So is he your uncle? He is. He is in the state of being my uncle. That might be kind of confusing. State of being verbs can be challenging for many people. But if we have a person, a place, a thing, a concept, or an idea, always revise your writing, you guys. Okay. And if we have an action or a state of being, folks have told us we've got a sentence. So, is this all we need to create a sentence? I've got this sentence right here. Walking my llama to the animal barn at the fair. Okay? So the first thing we want to do here is look and see, do we have a noun, right? Person, place, thing, concept, idea. Well, we've got a llama. This is a thing. Okay. Whoa, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry. Okay. So our llama right here, this is a noun. And we've got the animal barn right here. This is a noun. And we have fair right here, right? Because this is a thing. It's a place. And the fair is also a noun because it's also a place. So we have 3 nouns right here. Okay, so do we have an action or a state of being? Well, we have walking. Everybody says, well, this is an action, right? It's something that we're doing. We're walking along. So therefore, we've got 3 nouns and we've got an action. So is this a sentence? Now, I often get mixed responses to this. People are like, well, yeah, it's a sentence. It's got a noun and a verb. And other people say, well, it doesn't feel like a sentence, though. It feels like something is missing. Okay? Something is missing. The thing that's missing is a subject. So we have this definition over here. In order to have a complete construction that can stand alone, we need to have a subject acting on a verb. So a subject, you guys, is a noun. Okay, let me reorganize here just a little bit. A subject is a noun. Yes, but a subject is who or what is doing the action in a sentence. Okay? Who or what is doing the action in a sentence. If I were to ask you who is walking the llama to the animal barn at the fair, you don't know, and neither do I. Okay, nobody knows who is actually responsible for getting this llama to the barn. We just know that somebody or something is walking the llama. Okay, thank you, random person. Okay, we need a subject. We need to know who or what is doing the action. For instance, if we say Joe is walking my llama to the animal barn at the fair. This is the person who is doing this action. This is Joe's state of being. Joe is walking. Okay, he is in the process of walking my llama to the animal barn at the fair. Okay, I could say I am walking my llama to the animal barn at the fair. I could say some random stranger is walking my llama to the animal barn at the fair. But without this information right here, we don't know who's actually doing the action. And therefore, we have an incomplete construction. This is a phrase, not a clause. Okay, this is the major place we need to start because a lot of people accidentally end up writing what's called sentence fragments. Okay, a sentence fragment, don't forget to take your notes here, okay? A sentence fragment is trying to be a sentence. Okay, it's sitting out here. It's got a period at the end of it. It looks like it's got a whole construction, but it is missing a subject, a verb, or both a subject and a verb. Okay, a sentence fragment is trying to be a sentence. It's pretending to be a sentence. It's written out there in our piece, but The reader is missing essential information from that sentence. Many times we don't catch sentence fragments. We don't understand that we have a phrase, not a clause, because we know what we intended to say, right? In fact, a lot of times we talk to people like this. So they say, when are you going to the movie? Right after dinner. Okay, this person has enough context. Oh, sorry, the person we're writing to here has enough context to understand that we are going to a movie right after dinner. But if you are writing to an audience who maybe did not ask you this question, okay, then all we have is this incomplete thought. Who or what is doing what right after dinner? Or we could say, going to the movie right after dinner, okay? A sentence like this might appear in something that we're writing. Who or what is going to the movie right after dinner? As an audience who doesn't know you and doesn't know what you're trying to convey, we don't understand what you're trying to tell us with this piece of information, because we've written a phrase and it's placed in whatever we're writing as an independent sentence. And so we have a sentence fragment instead of the whole piece of information. In this case, we're missing both the subject, who or what, and the action, is going, that state of being, okay? And because we're missing that, we don't have any idea what you as the writer is trying to get across to us with this piece of information. Okay, so the very first major thing that you need to know about writing sentences is the difference between a phrase and a clause. Now, in the next discussion, we're going to talk about the two different types of clauses, and then we're going to understand from that how to craft sentences. For now, in your notes, what you should have is what a phrase is with its definition, what a clause is, include this definition, and then we need to know what a fragment is. This is a type of sentence error, so I recommend having maybe a special space reserved in your notes for sentence errors. We're going to talk about a couple of those as these videos progress, as the semester progresses. So please make sure that you have this stuff written down in a notebook, not just in your laptop. And again, we'll talk about why that's so important, but this is where we're going to start. All right? Please be sure to reach out to me with any questions, and I will see you soon.